All right, the historic reopening of diplomatic relations between the U.S. and Cuba creates new business opportunities for both countries. Carnival Corporation, the world's largest cruise company, is announcing it received permission from the U.S. government to begin travel to Cuba. Joining us only on CBS This Morning, the president and CEO of Carnival Corporation, Arnold Donald. Good morning. Great to have you here.
Good morning, Nora.
Wow.
Pleasure to be here.
Tell us what this means.
Well, it means after almost 50 years, the U.S. has granted approval for the first time for cruise ships to go from the United States to Cuba. We have to get, Cuban approval before we can actually start sailing, but we intend to sail in May of 2016, assuming we get the Cuban approval.
How hard was it to get U.S. approval for this?
We worked on it for quite a while. We evolved from a concept which became the Fathom brand. It's our 10th brand. Carnival, people know us as Carnival, but we have 10 brands. Yeah. And Fathom is the 10th brand. And the concept for Fathom is social impact travel and cultural immersion, both for the traveler and for the destination. And so out of that, we recognize an opportunity under the existing guidelines, the guidelines that already exist to travel to Cuba, that we could, in fact, apply for a license, and we did, and we were granted it by the Treasury Department and by the Commerce Department.
You started the brand this past year, Fathom.
Yes.
Yeah.
We just launched just a few weeks ago.
Yeah. Did you do it with the idea that you wanted to go to Cuba with this?
No, Fathom was a totally independent concept, so it became Fathom, the brand. Yeah. But the concept was to take interested travelers to a location where they could immerse in cultural exchange and in certain cases get back. So the Dominican Republic is the first opportunity for Fathom. It's in the Puerto Plata region in the north part of the Dominican Republic. And there we'll actually do social impact, working alongside proven, demonstrated impact deliverers in the Dominican Republic. Cuba will be a little bit different. Cuba will be cultural exchange, and we obviously, just like we did in the Dominican Republic, will work with the Cuban locals to figure out what works for them.
A lot of people have wanted to go into Cuba since this decision happened. Are you at all afraid that the infrastructure may not exist to support people coming into the communities?
Well, we have the ship that will sail there. It's the Adonia. It's from our P&O brand, our UK brand, that Fathom. It's being redeployed to Fathom. That particular ship, we have charted the waters. We know the landscape pretty well there, and that ship will be fine going in. It'll have 700 guests. There'll be some additional infrastructure that will work with the Cuban relevant players to make certain that we have things set so the guest experience exceeds their expectations, as we do with all our guests.
Congress still has some work to do in terms of lifting some of the restrictions with Cuba. Would that impact your sailing at all?
Ours already exists on the current guidelines. There's 12 different ways people can legitimately travel from the United States to Cuba. We fit within that, so we're fine.
And any doubt that Cuba will grant you the ability to do this?
Well, obviously, that's their decision.
Yeah.
But we're working closely with them, and we certainly have every expectation that we'll give them what they need so they feel comfortable, and we'll be able to bring excited U.S. guests to Cuba on cruise ships for the first time in well over 50 years.
What do you think this is going to mean for the broader cruising industry? I mean, I'm sure you'll probably have competition eventually, even if you don't want it, but I mean, this is a new market.
Well, we think cruising is a great way for exchange, and we look forward to others in the industry eventually having the opportunity to go to Cuba, and maybe by the time we sail, others will have that opportunity. Who knows, the embargo could be lifted, before that time even. So we welcome that. We think it's great for American people. We think it's great for Cuba. We think it's great for the Caribbean at large, and it's certainly great for the industry.
So give us an idea of the price. If you want to do a 7-day cruise to Cuba, and what are some specific examples of what you'll actually do when you dock or when you're on the boat?
There'll be a range of prices, but $2,990 for a very nice outside cabin for a 7-day cruise. The cultural exchanges are in the areas of arts and also in areas of food immersion and just, things that people would love to understand about a different culture. So it's an opportunity for Americans to immerse themselves in Cuban society with well-established programs that are already there for that purpose. People travel now, as you know, on airlines. But also, our Fathom brand is going to look to develop, along with, the appropriate Cuban players, additional experiences that would be unique to Fathom.
All starting next year, if all goes well.
All starting in May of 2016. It's very exciting. It's historic. We are privileged to be the first in our industry to have these approvals, and we look forward to being the first, if not one of the first, to actually sail with Cuban approval.
All right, Arnold Donald. Yeah, congratulations, and thanks very much for being with us this morning.
Thank you very much.